going on?
God, here's a mess.
Can you hear this?
Yes, very
You hear
low.
it?
It's low, but we can hear it.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I gotta get it. I don't understand why you can't hear it. Okay, why can't they hear it? Volume is up. Volume up. Volume is up. Volume up. Volume is up. Okay, from the beginning. Go.
Hmm. We can hear it, but it sounds like it's kind of far away.
Is that Laverne?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Laverne, where is the button for sound in PowerPoint?
I thought it when you I am in PowerPoint, I'm not sure. There is, I know when you add sound, there's a thing up top about sound. But you know, it's not just you. We were in another meeting and people were having trouble hearing the sound. I don't know what's going on. It's something going on with a lot of different groups. It only happens with the music, it seems, or the videos. Mhm. Mhm.
Sorry, Louise, we're having trouble hearing the audio. Is that a little bit better? Not much better. We can hear your voice, but not the music that's playing.
Yeah, there's a way in Zoom that you share your audio, and I'm not sure what that is. Always just use a loudspeaker when I want to do that. There is a way to share the audio through Zoom, like you share a file.
Yeah, I know. Zoom isn't being very kind to me today. It won't allow me to, go to no video background, and it's just not nice today, but it's okay. It's okay. We're just going to go and begin. All right, so I'm out of my screen now. We can just go ahead and begin the discussion. And as people come in, and we'll have started, all right? So I'm going to turn it over now to Sora Stacy to start us off.
Good afternoon, sorors. Can everyone hear me? First, I would like to thank you for attending our Afternoon with Authors program. Big pink and green tea roses to our sister Louise Nebelet, as well as Pamela Alene for the coordination of this program. Sorors, I'm just so proud of each and every one of you, and it's just over the past year, it's just really seemed to recognize the talent that we have within our chapter. So Sora Louise had a wonderful idea that we spotlight our chapter members for them to talk about their works, their writings, being the self-published artists, like everything that went into them writing the books. And then in turn, we can actually go and support our dear sisters and tell others to support them as well. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time this afternoon to just sit back, relax, as we learn more about our sisters. Sister Louise?
All right, very nice. Thank you so much, Sora Stacy. I was so excited when I put the Google form out asking that our authors respond. So I understand that we have other authors in the chapter, but Sora's Annie Augustine and April Potts responded immediately. They forwarded images of themselves. And although another call was put out, they were the only two who continued, and nobody else really responded. So I said to myself, well, this must be it. We're published authors, and I thought that it was important for us to take a look at sorors in our chapter who have gone through the entire process of looking at character development, looking at creative writing and ideas that would be of interest to the public, to readers, looking at what it is to work with an author, to be self-published, et cetera, et cetera. They've gone through the entire process. And so I said, well, it would be interesting to know exactly what they went through, and just to let them give us some feedback on how they were able to develop their artistic work. So, of course, we have questions for Sora Annie and for Sora April. Those of us who are on the call right now, of course, we know who they are, not only because their names are at the bottom of the screen, but because they are our chapter sisters. So we're very happy to have them respond. And now we want to talk to you. Okay, is that all right with you? All right, I'm going to put some questions in the chat because I don't have the poll feature activated, but I do want you to pay attention to the chat. Sora Pam is going to monitor your responses in the chat. And Sora Annie, I think I'm going to start with you, and then Sora April, would you piggyback off of her, please? But we would like to know from the two of you, exactly, how do books get published? How do you get published? Because I run into a lot of writers, Sora Annie, and they say, you know, I'm writing a book, and yeah, I'm writing a book, but it never seems to move past that. How do books get published? Like they don't know how to publish. How do you do that?
So there are a couple of options, well, that I know of. There may be more. You can self-publish, or you can work with a publisher. So I probably was like those people that you just mentioned. I had written a lot of stuff, and I had started looking for a publisher. So I would look at books and write down the name of the publisher and say, oh, I'll contact them one day. So I think I completed this children's book in 2016 in terms of writing it. And I reached out to Christian Faith Publishing, because actually what I had thought was that my first work would be a spiritual one. So I had connected with Christian Faith Publishing, and over the years I kept saying, oh, I'll send it to you, I'll send you something, I'll send you something. So then finally last year, I just sent them everything I had written, because I was trying to get it into an order. It's like, you know what, this is taking me too long. So I just sent everything and said, okay, what do you want to start with? So they chose Hopper, a name for a friend, to start with that. But I am working with a publisher, Christian Faith Publishing company. Contacted them. And then there was a process that we went through where I sent them the manuscript. They developed it, sent it back to me. You know, you go through that editing process. And so, yeah, it's a real, well, it was a long process for me, because many times it took me a while to respond to them. So I started in June of last year, and we finished around March. And for such a short book, it was surprising to me that it took that long. So I'll just let Sora April respond as well. That's enough for me.
Hi, Sora. So it was the same for myself. I started writing, I have a total of 8 books, and 2 of them have already been published. The 2 that are published are the ones that were written in the middle. And there's a reason those were published first, but then there are a few others there are 3 more that are completed, and then some others that are in progress. But I started them in 2005, I believe it was, maybe 2005. And then it was just the kind of thing where I put it to the side, went through life changes, you know, married, had kids, divorced, lost my job twice. So it was just put it to the side, then went back to school, then went back to school again. So it was just, you know, it's like a process in your head that you have to go through. But so at one point, once I finally mellowed out, I said, all right, let me just try something. I have all this material here, and it's just been sitting and sitting and sitting. So I went online, and I knew I wanted to self-publish. I wanted to try that first. And I found a couple different companies. I can't remember the names, but some of them seemed a little bit complicating. And then there were fees and all types of things. So then I just fell upon, actually, I was redirected from another company to the one I used, which was Amazon KDP. KDP was, you pretty much did everything by yourself. Everything was done on your own. They literally just put the book together for you, but you have to put it in as if you're putting together a presentation. You do everything. I had to use my cousin, who is she was an English major. So I used her to edit my books. So she would read them for me, and then, you know, simple things like put a comma here, you know, quotation mark here, or change this verbiage. So, and she was pretty quick with it. Like it was instant turnaround. She'll read it, send it back to me in the same day. It was no big deal. So I used her to do my editing, and then I wanted to try myself to even illustrate it. I drew all the pictures. So it was actually a release. It was like I I don't know how to say it, like, it was comforting. I don't know, just to sit and color and draw. It was relaxing. So that was a process in itself. And then I used my daughter because, technology, all the different commands like screenshot this, copy this. I don't even know, like trying to crop images. She knew how to twerk the computer, tweak the computer and do that. So she helped with that part. There was an image that I'm like, it's a little too dark or it's a little too big, or so she helped with that part. But other than that, KDP allowed you to choose everything. You could choose the price. You could choose how you wanted to present it. Everything was all on you. And it was whatever you chose to do. But it was a process, I will say that. And it took some time. The very first one, I think I started putting it together for KDP. I want to say it took maybe 2 to 3 months. And then once I got the hang of it, then I went on to the second one because, once it's fresh in your head, it's like, well, let me try this again. So then I tried it again. The only mistake that I made was as I was doing it, I would jot a little note here or there. Okay, this is how you copy and paste this, because it wasn't a simple copy and paste like Microsoft Word. It was a little bit more intense. And I don't even know where I wrote those notes. So if I had to do it again, I have to start. I have to start and play around all over again. But I do want to try something a little bit different. But it was relaxing for me. I would just kind of just pull myself away from everything that was going around and just did it.
Yeah, so Soros, then what you're saying is that in order to find a publisher, you have to do your own research and hope that you encounter someone who is on the same wavelength as you are in terms of your authorship. I mean, publishers don't just fall into your lap. What do? Google Publisher?
Yeah, for a first-time publisher, no, first-time author, no, they don't fall into your lap. Particularly if you don't have one of those names from, people would recognize from sports or television or something. They don't fall in your lap. Yeah, you have to do research, talk to other authors to find someone to publish.
Other authors who are writing similarly to what you're writing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, and then publishers will do a variety of books. I'm with Christian Faith Publishing. They do children's books, but most of their work is much longer. And they're spiritual books, most of what they do. So it does not necessarily have to be an author who's writing exactly the same kind of work that you are, because a lot of people do various things.
Yeah, I understand. I understand
have
that.
2 questions that are in the chat. One question is, how important is it to read culturally specific books aloud to children? Is it very important, somewhat important, or not important at all? If you could put your responses in our chat. In addition to that, Sora Diana asked the question to both of our authors: what was your inspiration for your chosen topics for your books?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go?
All right, April, go first.
Okay. So the first 2 that went out were based on, with my upbringing, I didn't look like many people in my area, especially not my hair. And even to this day, well, it's becoming more of the norm, but it wasn't the norm. I was always the girl with the big hair. They're like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So it was different for me. And I've heard all the different negative comments, and I've even wished to myself, I wish I could have my hair be this way or my hair be that way. I want to wear my hair like this girl or that girl, but that wasn't happening in my house. I just had to accept it. So, with that happening and constantly hearing, I don't like terms like, I don't use the term or allow, my children or nieces and nephews to use terms like nappy or good hair. I don't like terms like that. And I tend to hear them a lot. And even amongst the people that, you know, are around me, and I'm like,
Did she freeze?
She froze. She's frozen.
Oh. All right, Sora April, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're frozen on our screen. So we're going to ask Sora Annie to address the same question.
So my book, Hopper, A Name for a Friend, is based on a stuffed animal that my younger son received when he was about 5 or 6. When our kids were younger, and there are 5 siblings, 6 grandchildren, they would exchange Easter baskets. Naturally, we were the ones doing the Easter baskets, but they would exchange Easter baskets. So one year, my younger son, Miles, received a basket from his first cousin, Ashley. And in it was a real fluffy white rabbit. And Miles named it Hopper. And every time we went on vacation, Hopper had to go with us, Hopper and SpongeBob. He even took it to sleepaway camp one year. So that's a future book, you know, Hopper Goes to Camp. And, you know, Hopper is still in my house now, and both of his ears have huge safety pins holding them on. You know, every time before we traveled, I'd have to throw him in the washing machine with lots of Clorox because he's a white bunny. So yeah, so it was based on just the fact that he received this bunny rabbit, and you know, young, took it everywhere, and it's still laying somewhere in his bedroom now. So that's where I based it on.
And that was your inspiration for developing your character.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Sora Stacy. Do you have questions?
I do. Sora Annie, and we'll repeat this again when Sora April gets back on, but how long did it take you to actually write your book?
Well, so you know, it's a very short story. I think there are, with the illustrations, it may be a 52-page book, so it was like 26 pages. So I wrote it fairly quickly, you know, no more than a month, picking it up, putting it down. Then looked at it later and changed some things, gave it to my son to get his feedback and changed it a little. So because it is a short children's story, it didn't take a long time. Then I was going to use my my secretary's daughter, who draws pretty well, to illustrate the book. And I started with her, and I didn't like what she had done. So then Christian Faith Publishing had would illustrate it for me, but their characters look very flat. So Miles, again, the inspiration for the book, he's a gamer, and he knows, you know, people all over the world. So he has a friend, a Black female friend, who is, I think she's like 22 or 23, but she makes her living with people commissioning her to do different artwork. Usually of a gaming nature, because she's also in that community. And so I sent the words to her. You know, draw whatever what comes to you based on these words. So that took me a little while because she had so much that she's been commissioned to do. When I finally decided to use her, I think I had to wait a month because she was backed up that far.
Uh-huh. That's interesting.
Sir Louise, I have a question for Sora Annie, based on what you just said. So what was your outer, and this, I'm asking this because I've written a book, but I've written a manuscript. It's a children's picture book, but I haven't gone to the next step. I reached out to an illustrator, and they gave me a price, and I didn't know what the price should be. it seemed an exorbitant amount at the time. And my question to you is, what is the ballpark price that one should look at when you're publishing a book and looking for an illustrator is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so, when I sent her the book, I asked her to do a picture for each page. So there are about 26 pages with pictures and the front and back covers. I'm trying to remember, her name is Brianna. And I'm trying to remember exactly what the cost was. But I believe, I know it was under $2,000. It was like $1,600, $1,700. And when she sent me the pictures, I said to Miles, these look flat. And he said she didn't put any shading and shadows on it. So when I went back to her for that, it was another $300 or $400. But I know it was under $2,000 is what she charged. So if your person is more exorbitant than that, maybe I can connect you with Brianna.
How about you, Sora April? How much was it for you to publish your books? Under 2,000.
For
It was
the artwork.
For the artwork.
Yeah, the publishing was more. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay.
no, there was no fee for the artwork. I drew all the illustrations myself.
How much was it to publish? Uh-oh, eyes to the sky, Sora Pam.
I'm trying to remember, but it was a percent because remember, Amazon KDP is self-publishing and they receive a percent of your royalties. So let's say, for instance, the book costs $13. You may receive $5 for each book sold, something like that. I don't
Okay.
remember the actual percent. That was so long ago. I don't remember the percent.
Yeah, my total cost was about $500. The artwork and the publishing fee. And mine is similar to Sarah April's, but they set, when you work with a publisher, they set the price of the book because I thought it was kind of high. And for example, the hardback is $25.95 and paperback is $16.95, and I get maybe $3, and I can't remember whether it's from the hardback or the paperback, but
Wow.
about $3 per book is what I get.
Okay. All right. Sora Pam, do you have another question?
Yes. What advice would you give to a would-be author? Sorry, Annie?
I'd say push through. It sounds like both Sarah, April, and I had written and were holding on and, put it aside and pull it back. So I think God lays things on our hearts, and whether it's publishing or something else that he's laid on your heart, I'd say push through. What God has ordained for you is for you. And even if you put it aside based on things going on in your life or anything, pick it back up and push through. Sarah and April and I both wrote short books because they're children's book, but if you're doing something like a novel, that's going to take some time, but continue to push through and pursue your dream.
Sarah, April? What advice would you give to a would-be author?
Right. I agree with exactly what she said, to continue to push through because it does take some time. My very first book that I started writing, which was in 2005, is a chapter book, which is still not out yet. So it's taking some time. And I would say also something that I tend to do is, although it's filling my phone, whenever something comes in my head, it could be in the middle of the night, I'll dream something or think of something, and I'll immediately pull out my phone and just jot it in my notes. That way, when I get time and can get back to it, then I'll have, okay, I thought about this. So I have lots of different notes. It would make sense to nobody else, but it makes sense to me, whatever it was that came to my head. So I would definitely say push through, jot down some notes. Even if you're driving and something comes into your mind, just jot it down because you don't know when you might use it or where you might use it, or if it can apply to something, which is why there's several different books that I have. They're all different types of books. They're all not children's books. One of them is not actually, but yeah, I would say keep pushing. Don't give up. It is a process, and don't rush it. I would say don't rush it. Take your time. It'll happen in due time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sor Louise, I have another question. So Sor Annie and Sor April, did you just wake up and just say, I want to be a writer? Like, when did you realize that you were a writer?
I remember in 8th grade, we had to write a book. My 7th and 8th grade teacher was a Rhodes Scholar, so she was on us. Like, she didn't let up at all. So and I still speak to her to this day. So she taught, I have a lot of foundation from her. I think most of my foundation came in middle school. So in middle school, I did write a book in 8th grade. I still have that book here. We all had to write a book before we graduated from middle school. And that one is here. And it was actually interesting. We had to figure out how to make a cover. And when you look at it, it's like, what is this? Like, I took, what's it called? Like cardboard box and taped it together with like blue painter's tape to make the outside cover. It was really cute. But I think doing that and watching her and seeing how she moved about, it definitely encouraged me to go ahead and use what I have, because I felt it was in there, but it was just a matter of just get it down. Don't be afraid. Just write it down and, do what you can with it.
For me, I used to write poems, a lot of poems in high school. I wish I could find them because I'd like to read them to see if they make it in sense. But even now, I have a collection of poems I've written. But the inspiration for me happened when my children were in elementary school. They went to Atlantic Christian School and then to St. Augustine Prep. But what I saw when they were in Atlantic Christian School was every book that they read, the characters in the books didn't look like that. So it was then, and one is 27 and the other one will be 30. So that's how long ago that it was that I had decided, I'm going to write a book. And because they were in a Christian school, I saw myself writing a Christian book, but having Black characters in it. And so that was my desire. That's when the desire came. And it's like I say, one is 27 and the other one will be 30 soon, and I'm just getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that takes me back to when I got disconnected on why I chose what I did. I don't know how much you guys heard because I don't know what's happening in here, but just as in the same, I felt like, especially the young women growing up, they're not getting the image that they should be receiving. So I did want them to know to accept who you are, accept what you look like, love yourself. You don't have to change yourself to, conform to society, which was why I felt those two books needed to come out. And at the time, I felt like it did. And it came out at a good time. And, there's some people that come to me and say, oh, wow, my granddaughter said, oh, these are things that I have to do, or these are things that I hear. And that actually feels good because there's so many young girls out here that have no idea. And at the school that I work at, I am only one of 2 African-American teachers there. But we have a lot of children who are mixed. They have Caucasian moms. And lots of times they'll see me in the hallway and then they're interested, like, wow, I want her to have you, or how do you do this? Or what can I do to help her? And even some of the teachers will come and say, I want to do this for so-and-so. What can I do? And it just kind of helps that I made sure that it would fit them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've always found it interesting that writers will often choose a particular time of day or to write. I watched the documentary on Toni Morrison. Used to get up early in the morning and watch the dawn come in. And then I read books by Isabel Allende, and she has a little house retreats to early in the morning again, and she writes for a specific number of hours. Writers are so fascinating to me because they set aside time to just do that. You know, so do you have a specific time? Do you make time to write?
I feel like I make time, but you know, as I said before, when something comes in my head, I will jot it down. But I do find myself, I think I might write more on the weekends. I find that when I get up in the morning, if I don't want to move about, I can sit with a cup of tea and just kind of just woosah and then kind of write. But if there's like a late night when I can't sleep or I'm just up for whatever reason, I find that when I'm up for an unknown reason, I'll just pull out my laptop and just start writing. Like there's something that's got to be in there. So I will use that time.
Mm. How about you, Sir Annie?
I think most of my writing is done in the evening. I don't know that that's a conscious choice. Probably just life, but I do keep a pad by my bed. And like Sarah April was saying, particularly if I have something that, and this is not necessarily a book, but sometimes I have things that I need to write for a particular deadline. I will keep a pad by my bed, and I could be up early in the morning, or if something comes to me, I make sure that I jot it down. But most of my writing is in the evening.
All right. Sora's, Stacy, Sora, do you have any other questions for the authors, or should we open the floor now? I did put something in the chat, Sora, Pam. I don't know if anyone responded to it.
No, I have a comment from Sora Diana. She says, I absolutely believe that children should read culturally relatable books. I am delighted that children's books are beginning to incorporate people of color in all situations.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Is there anyone here on the call who would like to respond to that? Because my question to you was, do you think culturally responsive texts should be introduced in school, or is it something that we should do at home? Is that a parental responsibility to introduce those texts to children? Or is it both? Should it be in school and at home? That's my question.
And that question is to all attendees, correct? Sarah?
Yes, yes, to everyone, to anyone who wishes to respond. Now, Sora Lagretta is saying both. My question though, Sora, is, you know, right now we're going through something like a cultural, what do they call it? There's something going on now. It's called
critical race theory.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, what about that in terms of the texts introduced in school? They're receiving some backlash if we start to teach, you know, books that are like culturally responsive, specific. What is the feedback on that?
I think all of that backlash is politically motivated.
Of course it is.
Politicians are looking for something that will give them one up on the next person. And I think the fact that we're calling it critical race theory is a misnomer, because that is taught in law school. I think what we're trying to teach children now is just history. So we put this tag on it, and it gives politicians something that they can cling to, try to get the one up on the next politicians. And I think it's just history. And but once something is tagged, it's so difficult to get rid of that. So I think we're stuck with that.
I agree with you, Sora Annie, and it's almost It's like a lightning rod. And then I think that if the politicians that are using it, if you ask them exactly what it means to them, most of them can't come up with the idea of what it means. They like to use it as a buzzword that is like, red meat. But then when they're asked to explain or what does it mean to them, they cannot.
I
Mhm.
would like to add that critical race theory did begin with law. However, it's moved into the arena of education because it's about the social construction of race, the idea of storytelling and counter storytelling, and from whose perspective and how the story is told. In essence, how is history told to a group of people based on, if we were to take all of our zip codes, there's Indian land that it's attached to, but most people don't know that, right?
Right.
And there's a website you can go to and put your zip code in and know that it's from what part of the Indian culture it's from. So critical race theory is important. It's not a tagline. It's a serious construct about the social construction of how we are educated as brown and black people in America. Why don't people know about the Black Wall Street? Why don't people know about their history in terms of their culture? Who tells the story and how is it countertold? Again, through the eyes of whom, and what does the history book look like that's sharing the story? So that becomes extremely important, and it becomes more than just a line for us. And because we don't really hear about, there's a group of Black writers, authors, theorists that are behind the critical race theory. And it's needed in education because it helps us understand why we're not taught about the history of math, why we don't understand where math came from, why don't we understand different languages and multiple languages. So it's important for us to understand critical race theory. It's important for us to understand who tells the story, who gets to author the story, who gets to author the story about our history, and who gets to leave out parts that are essential. We had June 10th, that people really don't even realize the last federal holiday recognizing anything to do with any Blacks has been when Reagan gave Martin Luther King Martin Luther King as the holiday. And it hasn't been since then, since has been any other federal holiday. So I'll get off my pedestal now because like real important to me, because this is really critical. We're at a turning point in our history. I would like to see us as a chapter gift those books that April have purchased, books from April and Annie, Soar Annie and Soar April, and give them to the schools. And make sure every library in Atlantic City and Pleasantville and throughout the county has at least 1 or 2 books. But those are the kinds of projects that I think we have to move towards, somehow taking their books, who we know have written well-written books that are culturally appropriate and not appropriated. I'm definitely on my pedestal now.
No, but that's excellent. That's
that we take them
excellent.
and put them around as far as we can, spread them out, as far as our money will allow us to spread and donate monies to make sure that their books are sitting in every library, every elementary school and daycare specifically along the way. And we have that kind of power.
Mhm.
We have that power within us. So that's all I want to add about critical race theory. And I'm so proud of Soar Annie and Soar April, because so many of us write, so many of us want to write, but we just don't do it.
Yeah, and that was the purpose of this meeting. Sora Diana,
Just wanted to comment, I wholeheartedly support everything Sara Lagretta said. What I
Me
do
too.
want to indicate is that New Jersey, we've been on the forefront. We've got the Amistad Commission, which I think is under discussed, under promoted, underutilized. That's been in place for maybe 10, 15 years now. And that is part of their mission, was to ensure that history in all its appropriate context is incorporated into the educational environment. So through through our commitment to disseminate culturally appropriate documentation and books to the schools, we need to connect or consider connecting with that commission and making sure that we're partnering with voices that can make our voices louder.
Mhm.
So I just want to put that out. The Amistad Commission, not many of us know that it's there. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, that's a resource for us to get that information and utilize our wherewithal louder.
Yes,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
agree with both. And on one of the things about what Sora LaGretta was saying, I recently started a Donors Choose program because when Amanda Gorman recited her poem at the inauguration, I was so touched by that. And it was my mission to make sure all of the schools in the Pleasantville School District, the libraries would have copies of her books. So I created a Donors Choose program and I solicited donors to help me purchase these books. And thankfully, it was met. And come September, I'm able to give each of the school libraries 3 copies of her books. So it is possible for us to be able to do that if we create some kind of Donors Choose or some other kind of program where we can solicit, funds to be able to purchase and donate both of the books to all schools. We could go to Atlantic City, all area schools. We could, whatever our target is, but it is possible. And I agree with you guys, we should.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, we're moving into, I think, that area of trying to get more Black and Brown authors in the public sector for the children. I think I discovered an app, it's called We Read Too. And there are over 100 books on that app that are culturally responsive. You know, We Read Too is just something that we can upload on the phone or on our computers and just have books at our fingertips for our children. So I really think that we are moving in that direction. But what's so exciting to me is that we have 2 authors that I know on a first name basis who is writing that way. And so that was why we wanted to present them this afternoon so that we can touch base with them, figure out from them, because like Sora Pam said, we probably all have attempted to write at one time or another. But I've come to the conclusion that writing is something that's in your gut. Either you are a writer or you are not. Either you are going to focus on your writing or you are not. Now, the Soras today have helped me to understand that it takes time. Sometimes you can lock into it and sometimes you won't. And I've heard about writer's block, but I think writers really get the work done. Okay. And people like me who have scraps of paper, like Sora April said, she doesn't even know where they are. The scrap papered people like me, no, I'm not a writer. So if anybody has any more questions for the Soras, they are available. Like right now, we can open the floor again and you can ask them a specific question. Maybe you are a writer and you're just sitting on it. Okay, go ahead, Sora Diane. Next speak, Diana. Next
Question. I was getting ready to
ahead.
type it, but then you asked for questions. Sarah Annie and Sarah April, what communities have you seen by way of purchases have been most responsive to your books, whether it's regional or what? I'm just curious as to who your buyers are.
Sure. Well, I know in the beginning who my buyers were. It was like my high school friends and college friends and family and Soras, but there are individuals who are still purchasing books and I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But I see like there's a printout that I'll receive, and I'll also receive royalties that are just coming into my bank account, and I don't know who is making the purchase. I just know that the books were being bought.
Okay.
So I am unsure. Unless I have bought them for them and have given them to them,
Right.
then I don't know. And if I don't know you personally, then I don't know.
Okay.
Who has?
And it's pretty much the same for me. Mine came out during the pandemic. So
Mhm.
in terms of being able to do anything like a book signing or just a gathering, wasn't possible. So it has been mainly friends from either work or some of the organizations I belong to, who have been purchasing the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sora Reina's church did an event, and I did a book signing at one of her church events, maybe a year or two before the pandemic. I don't remember when it was, but I've done 2 of those. There were 2 events that I was invited to,
Okay.
which was actually
Wow.
really cool.
So is there a separate step, like you have to have an agent, or that's not part of the publishing contract to create those publication opportunities for you?
No, but I'm actually working on a website right now that I don't have, and I do believe that's what I need. So I am currently working on a website, and even that in itself is taking some time.
Right.
Just to make sure it's right.
Included in my contract were options that I could choose. Some were part of it. For example, there's a press release that's coming out.
Okay.
I just need to respond. They've sent me the draft and I need to respond to, because I want it to be edited. And also included were promotion materials. So there were some were options and some were just a natural part of the contract, but ways to help get the book out. And then they did send me some other thinking in terms of, things you can do, particularly since there was a pandemic when mine came out.
Okay.
Sora Annie, how can we purchase your book, Hopper, a Name for a Friend?
So it's available on most, it's available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon for sure. And you can download it on either of those or on iTunes, but it's also available on a number of other websites, book sites. The thing with going with a publisher, they can distribute it very broadly. I have seen it on sites that are in other countries. And then also I have some copies of it as well.
I was looking for it, but I kept putting in Annie Augustine. I should have just put in A.B. Augustine, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're looking on Amazon, it probably will come up under A.B. Augustine. It may come up under Hopper, or the illustrator's name as well, Brianna Thompson. I think.
Very good. And Sora, April, where can we find your book?
You're muted, Sarah.
Sorry. The same. You can find it on Amazon. It's the easiest way to find it is just to type my first and last name, and it'll pull it up. Just type April Potts, and both of them will come up.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely invest. I have your 2 books already, Sora April. Sora Annie, as I said, I had difficulty finding your book only because I kept putting your full name in. But I looked closer at the photo that you sent for today. I saw that it was A.B. And I said, oh, that's why I can't find her book. So I'm definitely going to get a copy. I'm building my library for my granddaughter now. So your books will become a part of her library reading.
Yeah, thank you. And I do have copies if you like.
I think I just might jet to you to get my copy. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way it'll be signed.
Yes.
Very smart. Yeah. Okay, good.
Sora Louise, this is Sora Stacy. I don't have a question, but it's just more so just a statement. Just a story. I remember sometime last year, I was having a conversation with Sora LaGretta, and we were talking about our dear Sora Andrea, who is on this call, about her devotionals that she publishes or she puts out on Facebook daily. And we talked about that would just be a wonderful opportunity for our dear Sora Andrea to publish that, to make it devotionals, because I look forward to reading those every day. So, I know Sora Andrea has so many of them. So, hopefully Sora Andrea, this might have been some inspiration to you to let others read what you write, because what you write truly does help make my day on most days. So.
Thank you, Sir Stacy. I appreciate it. And I am supposed to be writing a book, but as you know, I'm excited about it and then I put it aside. Then I'm reemerged in my excitement, then I put it aside. But I really believe one day it'll happen. But thank you. Definitely. Thank you.
Good, good. Sora April, Sora Annie, any words of encouragement, inspiration, forward moving thoughts for Sora Andrea?
I would say, go ahead, go for it. It reminds me of Sora Adrian. Like, we all have her book as well. I think it's a great opportunity. Excellent. I think she should go for it.
Yeah,
Thank
I would
you. Thank
echo
you.
that. I also have read some of Sarah Andrea's devotionals, and they're very good. And so if you're interested in doing a devotional, Sarah Andrea, maybe we can talk, and I can just edit or encourage you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Connect you with Christian Faith Publishing. I could see a devotional with space where people can write their thoughts, either 52 for one per week, or if you have that many, 365 for one per day. So I think it's a great idea for you to move forward with it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you just for sharing. I just, joined in because I want to celebrate you guys, but thank you for the encouragement. I really appreciate it.
That's good. That's good. Yes. All right. Do we have any other feedback from the attendees? Any other feedback?
This was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing
Absolutely.
your personal story, Sora April and Sora Annie, and your actual story through your writing. So this has been marvelous. I was panting to get on because I didn't have the passcode, but I'm glad that I was able to get it from Sora Stacy. So I'm glad that I was able to join in, and I thank the committee for having such a rich conversation and a rich program that features us.
Yes, yes, yes.
I agree. I enjoyed it. Very relaxed. I was a little nervous at first, especially when you said in the meeting you have questions. I'm like, ugh. But this was actually really nice, and I really appreciate it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah Louise and Pamela for scheduling this, and other Sarahs for tuning in. It's been good.
Good. All right. Sora Stacy, I guess we can close. The arts, we can do more. We will do more, right, Sora Stacy?
Yes, yes.
We will do more. Yes.
So-
This is
yeah,
our
so-
last year, so we gotta push it.
Yes. So Soars, once again, just thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to join. And, that way, we're learned a little bit more about Sora April and Sora Annie to help really develop those sisterly bonds. And just thank you for your words of advice, your words of encouragement, because you may not only just encourage Sora Andrea, there might have been some quiet people on the phone who may needed that additional inspiration as well. Like me, even though I'm not writing a book, I'm writing his dissertation. So it was just a little bit more encouraging for me to do what I need to do as well. So once again, thank you so much, Sora Louise and Sora Pam, for the coordination of this program, and enjoy your Saturday.
Yes, yes. Soros, thank you so much for everything.
Welcome.
I'm just gonna share my screen one more time. Get my little PowerPoint up here. But again, we do thank you so much, and thank you for your support of the arts. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a
Great
good
day.
afternoon.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Very good.
Great program.
Bye,
Very
everyone. Very nice
Absolutely.
program.
All right, Sora Louise, you good? Sora Pam, you good?
Yes, this is
Did
an
you stop
excellent
record? You have to
program.
stop recording.
Kudos.
Can you stop recording?
Where's stop recording?
There's a record button at the bottom. You should be able to stop it that way.
At the bottom. Okay. hold on.
Next to share screen.
Mm-hmm. Next to share screen, stop recording.
It says record. You should be able to stop recording